Welcome back, it's Lincoln. So today's episode is going to be a little different. Here I'm sitting in my car, I'm in front of my barbershop, and I'm getting ready to get cut up. So what I'm going to do, we're going to film the haircut because conversations, for those of you who go to barbershops, you know conversations are always worthwhile. And similar to the types of conversations I have within my personal training session that just range from all aspects of life and business, those are the same types of conversations that I have with Junior. So we're going to get inside. I'm going to introduce you to him, and we're going to have a great conversation, kind of talking about some of our own struggles that we've had in business, and then what we're doing currently to overcome those struggles and to move our business into the right direction. So I hope you guys enjoy this new setup, and let's get in there. Been coming in here about 4.5 years, so we always have great conversation about life, about business. So today's just going to be what do you want to talk about, Junior?
I think one of our biggest conversations we've been having is how has business evolved with the pandemic, right?
What was your biggest challenge through the pandemic?
I think in the beginning it was just, are we going to be open or are we going to be closed? Are they going to close us down? Are they going to let us cut hair? In the beginning, we were at the mercy of our state board of barbering, right? And so, the state said we were able to cut hair outside, and our license said that we were not. And so that was one of the biggest challenges is, what are we gonna do? We can't open doors. We're waiting for the okay to either go outside or not. And finally they let us go outside. And so we were cutting hair on a parking lot, man.
I remember you guys got the news up here.
Yeah, it was a blessing, man. We had the Union Tribune came through. They did a little story, put us on the front page of the Union for being one of the first shops to just take the business outside, right? There was a lot of barbershops that didn't want to go outside. They felt a certain type of way about being told that they couldn't be inside their business, and they just didn't see themselves sitting out in the parking lot cutting hair. If you just sat down in the beginning and waited for all this to blow over, trying to get up now and really get going on your business is twice as hard, right? Because you've spent so much time at home, or you spend so much time just, thinking about the next thing you want to do, instead of just doing it, right? Yeah. During this whole thing. I mean, I always say there's still a lot of people out there that weren't affected by this financially. And for us here at the barbershop, I feel like there's people that have been waiting for us to open back up. Some of these guys need some of this, it's almost like therapy, right? Where we come in here, yeah. we talk about, latest news or sports, or, a lot of guys don't get that anywhere else, with our busy schedules and work schedules. So
just that human interaction.
Yeah.
That human interaction has really been cut back on. And you made the comment that a lot of people, it's harder now to get up after sitting at home for so long.
Yeah.
And that's just a habit.
Yeah.
Like when you create a habit of sitting around and watching Netflix and not getting up and doing anything, it becomes easier and easier to continue sitting on your couch watching Netflix and not doing anything. And it's all about those small habits that we create, and I think we've done a pretty good job getting back into the work routine relatively quickly.
Right.
But I know last time we were talking, you were telling me about you're looking at more analytics now with your business. You're kind of taking a new step in the way you are viewing your business and kind of like your marketing techniques and
with so much competition, I think in every field now, and I can only speak on mine, is I got barbershops on every other corner now.
Yeah.
Back when I opened up in 2010, I was one of 3 barbershops, and so this was my first business, and the first 3-4 years it was booming out of control, and I think that the mindset I had going into this when I opened it was fear, you know, is this the right thing to do? Is it something that I can handle? My wife at the time was 6 months pregnant, so it was kind of scary too, because I got a kid coming, man. If this tanks, what am I gonna do, right?
Yeah.
And so so I opened up, and it was, you know, it was dead slow, and so I started panicking or whatever, but it eventually caught on, and within the first year, I went from one barber to I think after the first year I had about 2 barbers, and then year 2 I was up to 4. The place was booming. I had business, people just waiting out there before I even opened.
Nice.
Right? And
It's a good place to be in.
Yeah, and this pandemic happened. Well, I'll rewind. You know, about year 5 is where I started slowing down. A lot of other barbershops started catching on. You know, San Marcos was kind of untapped, and so a bunch of competition started coming in town. Now, we view competition and we look at it and we get upset, right? Why are they moving so close, you know, so close to me? You know, it's not cool. You know, they should be at least a half mile from me. That was my mentality too, right?
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like me playing catch up, right? I'm trying to really like just nail down all these analytics stuff, and so it's been a learning process for sure, man. It's been tough.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think business is always a learning process. What I've learned over the past, well, really again since COVID, but I used to get caught up in social media. I have to post every day,
Right.
And I would overdo it for a period of time until I got burnt out,
Yeah.
and then I would just stop doing it completely because I
Right.
got burnt out. And I ran out of things to post, and I don't know. I didn't see the immediate results that I wanted,
Yeah.
so I stopped.
Right.
The biggest thing I've done over the past year and a half is just slowly start integrating things
Right.
into my business. Okay, I work on the app Trainerize, and I've had a continuous program going now for over a year. It's going on like 60 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a routine now.
Right.
So now the next thing I've done is, okay, now let me start getting into what can I post daily,
Right.
and turning that into a routine.
Right.
And then once that becomes a routine, now it's, okay, now I can expand from maybe Instagram. Now I've started to add in the YouTube videos.
Yep.
So that's just a little bit extra. And once that becomes a routine, what's the next thing? So for you, like tracking the analytics, once that can become like a daily routine or weekly routine, however much you need to check it,
Right.
then rather than like initially you have to watch all the YouTube videos to figure it out.
Yep.
But once you get kind of through that learning process and you turn it into a routine, okay, what's the next thing that can be integrated that
Right.
that can be sustainable?
Right. So I think that, you know, the analytics is good. It's a good thing, obviously, but you know, the analytics aren't anything unless you're running your social media the way it's supposed to, right? And I think a lot of us, when we don't know what to do, we do kind of the next best thing is we just copy somebody else's pattern or somebody else's, you know, profile type of, you know, design that they're doing. We start searching for things that, you know, we can't really come up with. And so I think that's where a lot of the problem is especially for both of our industries is, you know, how many times have you sat there and looked at least I have looked at my profile, my social media profile, and I'm sitting there going, who am I really targeting? Like, I'm literally making like posting pictures and videos for other barbers. Like, what's the end goal here?
Yeah,
Is it for other barbers to look at me and say, oh wow, look at this guy, look what he's doing? Or is the real, like, you know, what am I trying to get across? I'm trying to get customers through the door.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have to realize, like, what we post, who is it for? Is it for us to get clients, or are we posting for other trainers to see what we're doing and what they're not doing? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think we get caught up in that.
The competition of it rather than actually doing what's kind of,
we're actually going backwards. We're we're not going after clients, we're going after ego. That's something that we got to figure out and really nail down, because the analytics, what am I going to do? Track a bunch of barbers that are looking at me, like looking at my profile and.
And I think part of the ego aspect to it is it really comes down to our insecurities with what we're doing in business or what we're not doing.
Right.
And rather than just kind of posting in alignment to what we like actually believe to be right and what is actually true to the nature of our business, we kind of post what we think we need to post because that's what we see on social media. Because I think social media is a blessing, but it's also a curse.
Sure.
Because we also see how everyone else is doing. And no one on social media looks like they're doing bad.
Right.
Like I talked to some, Vince, you're laughing, I hear that.
Yeah.
I talk to some of my friends, and sometimes I'll express some of my like struggles that I'm going through, and they're like, "Oh, bro, you have struggles? Like, I thought your life was just all together and everything's great. You had it all figured out." I'm like,
yeah, I've seen that to be true too. You look at the social media and what they're putting up, and then you'll run into them or go to their business and talk with them, and sometimes it's not all like it's being portrayed.
It's a totally different story.
Oh, totally. Especially when you go in there and you want to see how they're doing in business to probably, glean from them.
Yeah.
And then it's not really like it portrayed on social media, whether their personal life, their business life, their hobbies, and then you go and you kind of, I've had that happen before.
Yeah.
And I was real curious to see how somebody was doing, and then you get there and then they start talking, and it's like, things ain't really as good as they are portraying them.
Yeah.
With the pictures and the smiles and, the people they're talking to. It's kind of sometimes it could be how can you say, fake.
Yeah. Well, 100%. Well, and we know our own insecurities and our own struggles.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is we're comparing those to everyone else's best aspects of them.
Right.
Because we see what they're doing on social media, and we think that that's reality.
No, it's not. It really isn't.
Yeah, I think a lot of people also, especially business owners, entrepreneurs that have their own little business, we can't post out of emotion. You got to be very strategic, and you got to have conscious, decisions, right? Like you got to think about you can't just go through something one day and all of a sudden jump on your Instagram and just start throwing up of everything you hate about yesterday and why this is or what you heard on the news. I mean, people don't care to really sit there. They know you for whether you're a personal trainer or barber. They don't want to hear you rant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Your whole feed is all positive, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere you're on there ranting about something, and it just doesn't make sense, right? You don't want to be fake. Yeah. But at the same time, if you're running a business and you're running it through these social media platforms, you got to keep it business, right? And business related.
I think there is also an aspect, though, to where you can incorporate emotion into the strategy.
Yeah.
Okay,
As in, because in the aspect that, like, you're passionate about what you do.
Right.
Like, so there is a passion and an emotion that comes with the business side. And I think that's what makes what each of us do unique is what emotion we put in. So no, I think you're talking about, Junior, the reactionary emotion.
Right, there you go.
Like something happens and then you're just blowing up on your Instagram feed about how something sets you off.
Yeah.
Right.
But I think that we have to find out, because this is where I struggled. Junior, you've been telling me for how long that I need to just like speak out more?
Yep.
And I was like scared to put out
what you felt,
what I actually felt.
Yeah.
Because it was that fear of like, well, what if people reject what's true to me?
Right.
Then they're not just rejecting like, they're actually rejecting.
But regardless, I think the main aspect and point we need to concentrate on is when with what we're doing is not about how much money we're going to make. This is where a lot of people fail. But are you doing the thing that creates the highest level of emotion in you when you do that work, when you do that sport, when you do that, whatever it is, because that thing is what people need to see. People working, living at a high emotion, excited, full of joy, full of peace. Because when you're in your spot, doing what you love to do, that's hard to find with people, because everybody's trying to do something for the buck and not doing the thing they love to do. That's what I found out. And it's pretty interesting when you start looking back at, am I doing what I really love, or am I doing it just for the buck?
Well, and there's a book I've been reading recently. It's called The Gene Keys, and it's like a philosophical like combination of all kinds of stuff, but it talks about, again, find like same thing, working with your emotion, but working towards some type of higher good. So whatever that is, putting your emotion into work, I think is an important aspect. But Junior, you're talking to me about how you used to go off of straight intuition and there wasn't enough structure. So it's how do you stay creative, because what you do is a creative.
Right.
You're an artist with hair.
Right.
So how do you maintain that feel as an artist, but then also be the business person?
For me, it was just cutting out things in my life that were taking up time, right? So at night, instead of binge watching shows, it started with, hey, look, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna have some me time. I'm gonna watch a couple shows or whatever. But at this time, I'm dedicating an hour and a half every night to looking at my Yelp, right? Looking at reviews, getting back to people, just doing something constructive for my business that's going to help me understand it just that, a little bit better. And so it's funny when you start doing that and you start changing things to make more room for things that really matter, it becomes kind of an addiction, man. It becomes a little bit of addicting, because we're so used to doing nothing for ourselves sometimes, right? And so the moment I start dedicating a little bit more time to it every night, all of a sudden it's like, okay, I feel good. I feel like something's happening, whether something's happening or not. Just making that extra stride to do something, whether it's promote an ad, right? Promote a post, or something. And the moment you start seeing a little feedback, or you start getting a little bit of client feedback, or just some of your followers are commenting and really just encouraging you, dude, it's awesome. But as far as all of us that have our own little small businesses, I think it starts with personal growth before business, right? Because if you're not feeling good about yourself, you're not
well, you can't put your best self forward if you're not taking care of yourself.
Right. This is a perfect combination, right? So if I'm out of shape, and I'm not feeling good, how am I going to run my business? How am I going to dip into analytics and really get so into it, because I'm just already, there's something in my life going on that I'm just not happy with.
That's the one thing that I've really started to stress towards people I'm working with. Is like, yo, you got to get yourself in line first. And unfortunately, a lot of people will then tell us that we're selfish for that. But it's like, but it's not selfish if I know by taking care of myself, then I can put out the best version of myself within everything I'm doing. If you listen to what everybody says, you're always just going to stay in this like circle of not going anywhere. Because there's always going to be someone who doesn't like what you're doing.
Just being, the other thing is how far are you willing to go to really get to where you want to, be? And I think a lot of people need to ask themselves that too, is they've gotten where they're at, and it's been how many years, right? And do you feel like you've done enough to really feel like you're on your way to success?
Well, the greater the sacrifice, the greater the reward.
Yeah.
It's like if you sacrifice those Netflix shows,
Heard me
you
hear
get a
that.
little extra show in there.
Where'd I hear that? Oh, yeah. Great. No sacrifice, no reward.
Yeah.
Well, it's true.
And sometimes you need those hobbies, right? You need to be able to have your you time. I know I played softball for a good part of 11 years. You know, even up until year 4 when I opened this, and then this got way too much. And so I sacrificed, you know, playing softball, and I kind of regret it, man, because that was like a big release for me, right?
Yeah.
That was a big release for me.
Well, and if you lost that release, did you replace it with anything to where you get an equal type of release?
I'm sorry?
I said if you sacrifice that release, did you replace it with anything that gave you that equal release? Or did emotion start getting pent up then?
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think that I didn't really replace it. I replaced it with what I thought was
Necessary.
yeah, like doing more like okay, this is obviously gonna give my life more value than playing softball.
Yeah.
Right? But what I didn't realize was the softball gave me that release that I needed to be able to focus on the business a little bit more.
Yeah, that's where I've transferred my, like, from bodybuilding. Like, that was an intensity. I was putting everything into that so I could switch that focus into more business.
Right.
How I work with people.
Right.
So I think, like, when you do get rid of that softball or whatever it is, you got to be able to put out that type of energy somewhere else.
Yeah.
We just finished up. Of course, great cut as always. Junior, I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thanks,
for
man.
sure.
All right, so that wraps it up for this week. Again, guys, please comment your thoughts below. Comment your thoughts on the conversation that Junior and I had. Please like, subscribe, and as always, if you feel like this video would serve someone well, please share. Thank you, guys. Have a blessed week.